Hari Om. The topic for this lecture is homeostasis. This term is used to describe the various physiologic arrangements which serve to restore the normal state if it has been disturbed. Dr. Walter B. Cannon was an American physiologist who coined this term homeostasis in 1930, and he first used it in his book The Wisdom of the Body. So homeostasis is a Greek word meaning homeo, which means similar, and stasis, which means state or position, standing still. So this is a fundamental physiologic principle according to which any system left to itself will check the support and balance of its different functions. The intelligence of our body works to regulate the activity of systems, organs and glands that form them and maintain the harmony between these different systems. So this is the process of homeostasis, which controls the variation in body temperature or the blood sugar level. If the blood sugar rises, then it is brought to a lower level by this process. Or the third example could be the acid-base balance. Another is the water balance as well as oxygen. Let us take an example of the regulation of blood sugar level. If there is high blood glucose, such as after a sweet diet, then there is insulin release by the beta cells of the pancreas which release insulin. As a consequence, the body cells take up glucose from the blood and it is used in cellular respiration. Glucose is removed from the blood and stored as glycogen in the liver. Therefore, the blood glucose level decreases. So this is an example of homeostasis again. Whereas, if the blood sugar level becomes low, then there is glucagon release. That is, the alpha cells of the pancreas release a hormone glucagon, because of which glycogen in the liver is broken down into glucose and it is released into the blood, and therefore the blood glucose concentration rises. Considering the example of body temperature, if there are conditions which decrease the body temperature, then the receptors on the skin sense the change in temperature, and then this message is sent to the hypothalamus, which compares it against a set point, and then the muscles shiver, the blood vessels constrict, and therefore the body temperature is raised. As you see in the picture on the right, on the top. Whereas in the opposite case, when there is a rise in body temperature, receptors sense this temperature change, the hypothalamus compares it against a set point, and then this leads to expansion or a dilatation in the blood vessels and sweating. And therefore, because of evaporation of the sweat, the body temperature is decreased or restored to normal. The hypothalamus is the center in the brain, which is the main link between the endocrine system and the nervous system. So this structure keeps our body balanced in a stable state, which we call homeostasis. The hypothalamus receives chemical messages from nerve cells in the brain and from the nerve cells in the body, peripheral nervous system, which is also responding to signals outside the body. The hypothalamus's main function is to react to these messages to keep the body in a stable state or internal balance. It is the body's smart control coordinating center. The hypothalamus helps manage body temperature, blood pressure, hunger and thirst, sense of fullness when eating, mood, sex drive and sleep. The hypothalamus performs many of its body balancing jobs either by directly influencing the autonomic nervous system or by managing hormones. The autonomic nervous system, that is the bodily functions that work automatically, control several important functions such as heart rate and breathing or respiration. As we saw in the previous picture, the hypothalamus is the major coordinating center situated at the base of the brain. So in this table we see the hormones produced by the hypothalamus, which is the gonadotropin releasing hormone, the corticotropic releasing hormone, the thyroid releasing hormone, prolactin releasing hormone, and the growth hormone releasing hormone. So all these hormones, they act on the anterior pituitary or the adenohypophysis, and which lead to the production of the corresponding hormones from the pituitary, which are FSH or follicle stimulating hormone or the luteinizing hormone, the adrenocorticotropic hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, prolactin, and the growth hormone. These act on the target organs, which are respectively the gonads, the adrenal cortex, the thyroid, mammary gland, liver, and all the body. The hormones which are produced by the hypothalamus, ADH, that is antidiuretic hormone, and oxytocin, they are stored in the posterior pituitary or the neurohypophysis, and they are released into the blood circulation when as per the demand. In this picture we see that the hypothalamus is a structure situated at the base of the brain. This is a major coordinating center situated at the base of the brain. The neurosecretory cells of the hypothalamus produce releasing and release inhibiting hormones. These hormones are secreted into a portal system. So in the middle of this picture we see the pituitary gland, the anterior part and the posterior part. So each type of hypothalamic hormone either stimulates or inhibits production and secretion of an anterior pituitary hormone. The anterior pituitary secretes its hormones into the bloodstream. Here we see in these lower pictures the anterior pituitary, the hormones produced by the anterior pituitary, which is the gonadotropins, that is FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and LH is luteinizing hormone, which has its effect on the ovaries and testes. The growth hormone is the other hormone which increases the length of the bones and also muscles and tissues. The prolactin hormone, which acts on the mammary glands. The adrenocorticotropic hormone, which acts on the adrenal cortex and increases production of the hormones of the adrenal cortex. The thyroid stimulating hormone acts on the thyroid gland to increase the production of the thyroid hormones. Now, the hormones from the posterior pituitary are oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone. Oxytocin acts on the smooth muscles in the uterus and the mammary glands, whereas the antidiuretic hormone acts on the tubules of the kidneys. When appropriate, ADH, that is antidiuretic hormone, and oxytocin are released from the nerve endings or the axon endings into the bloodstream. Yoga and homeostasis. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Yoga is a state of harmony, balance, equilibrium, and equanimity, as said by Bhagwan Shri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Yoga postures and breathing exercises largely stimulate homeostatic functions of the body through their regulatory activation of endocrine and autonomic nervous systems. The slide shows us that there is a connection between our nervous and our endocrine systems. So our emotions control our hormones. Adrenaline is secreted in response to the fight or flight mechanism. Concentration neurotransmitter is noradrenaline, and the happy hormones, that is dopamine and serotonin, are secreted in response to pleasure or mood changes. The calming neurotransmitter is GABA, Acetylcholine is a learning neurotransmitter. Glutamate is a memory neurotransmitter, and endorphins for euphoria. Mahamuni Patanjali emphasized abhyas or relentless positive effort and vairagya, which is dispassionate attitude, along with Ishwar Pranidhana, acceptance of the universal plan. Change in our inner attitude through Pratipaksha Bhavanam, clarity of mind, Chitta Prasadanam, through adoption of Maitri, that is friendliness towards those who are at peace, Karuna, compassion towards those who are suffering, Mudita, cheerfulness towards the virtuous, and Upekshanam, indifference or avoidance of evil. A sense of coherence was talked about by Antonovsky, which talks about integration of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, activation of the vagus nerve by various forms of pranayama, splashing cold water on the face, humming, singing, chanting mantras, a healthy lifestyle, healthy eating habits. These lead to a higher vagal tone and balancing the autonomic nervous system. The picture shows the anatomy of the vagus nerve, which means wandering. It literally wanders throughout our body. Active practices followed by relaxing ones lead to deeper relaxation and a sense of peace. Higher levels of melatonin, which is a hormone of the pineal gland, can be brought about by meditation. Balance between the chakras, especially the Vishuddhi chakra, Ajna, Bindu and Sahasrara chakras, to maintain homeostasis. And an attitude of letting go of all worries will lead to homeostasis and a sense of inner peace.